So are you guys still mad at me, or is that?
There you go.
The picture is almost done. Tune in next week. Ooh. It's very Sistine Chapel-like.
It's an ugly orbit.
Yes.
The ugly orbit.
Yeah.
It's nice.
An elliptical
And
orbit.
then my father had the knife in my mouth. And
That's Oscar.
That's
Okay.
Oscar performance.
Okay.
Right there. All right, nice. So we're going to review Watchmen, the book. Because there was the book before the movie, believe it or not.
What?
Yes.
My God.
It's true.
Okay. We've obviously talked about this comic before many a time.
Yes, many a time.
We reviewed it just recently on the Halloween episode with John Plantis. This time, I want to go more in depth with it because even if you've seen the movie, I don't think anyone appreciates the depth that this comic goes into.
Well, you've just seen the trailer, which I'm assuming someone at this table has seen. You have that kind of idea, right? That this is important. This is a big deal, right? And everyone keeps saying that this comic book or this idea and what's been written about it is a big deal because it's taking comic books to a level that it was going at already. You know, like we're talking 1986.
In New Teen Titans, it was. You mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And you're getting to this point where now this violence and this sex and this realism is being brought to comic books. Are you?
Are you talking to me? Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking to me, George.
All right, go ahead.
I was paying attention the whole time.
So, anywho, in making a film adaptation, right, the first thing they said was that this could never be made into a film.
Yes.
Right? They could never possibly take this book and turn it into a film because it would have to be like, what, 9 hours long?
They said the same thing about Richie Rich and Archie and Jughead. But they all made it to the big screen.
That's right. And still, The Last Temptation of Christ was made. I have no idea.
Before we get to the movie, I just want to say, never mind the great characters. Like, what character is more original? Like, who even thinks to have a character whose face has symmetrical ink blots constantly moving on his face that represent, well, the whole idea...
George Rizak, everyone!
Well, the whole idea...
It's Rorschach right here.
Perfect. There you go. And that's what Rorschach would look like in real life. But
Yes.
the issue gets so the series gets so in depth. It ends up, one of the things they lacked in the movie, and we'll get to that later, is forget about the fact that it's a detective story or about flashbacks, about tying in the golden age with the modern age. It's about philosophy. It's about religion. It's about physics. You know, it's about really the two main characters I would say are Dr. Manhattan and Rorschach, right? You have Dr. Manhattan, who sees time all at once, who sees no difference between life and death because they're the same number of molecules in a living person and a dead person. Then on the other side, you have Rorschach, who
sees the guilty and the not guilty.
Exactly, because of experiences that he had as a kid and experiences that he had later once he did become a crime fighter. He just could no longer see that there was anything beyond what we see around us. He couldn't see that, he couldn't imagine that there was a God that could allow these things to happen. He couldn't imagine that there's anything beyond, like you said, guilty and innocent. He begins to see the world very black and white. The fact that his face is a psychological test that's used basically to test people whether or not they're insane or not is absolutely brilliant. What a great visual and what a great metaphor for the entire story. Yeah, and it's something that is alluded to in the movie but not really delved into.
And again, not even to get into the movie yet, because I really want to get into the movie.
That's the next segment. Save it.
It basically, this comic book, if you read the whole thing and then read about reading the book, and then you talk to people who read the book and they tell you what you should have thought, and then you think what you should have thought, and then you're like, wait, I have my own thoughts. And it ends up being with this thing where they take you through this great traveling as a comic book fan who will believe that there was the last son of Krypton that landed on Earth, and then he could jump over tall buildings and, you know, beat a train and catch bullets and eat kryptonite.
Are you trying to say that didn't happen?
They explain this Alan Moore brings you through an exercise of explaining God through science. And that's the entire point of this whole exercise. The book is, and in 1985 or 1986, whenever it came out, that was it. They were giving a comic book, which was an ignored medium, which you could never, people ignored it like crazy. Like you didn't learn anything from it. I understood that, hey, God's like a rocket scientist who likes leaves or something. Like it was just one of those things where it was you could explain creation through understanding molecules and through quantum physics and stuff like that. Like it really delved in really great, and it was a great book. And then they tried to tackle this in the film, and
we'll get to that in a minute.
We're not talking about the film. I want to know the studio audience, the 4 people that are still here, who read Watchmen the book? Who read it? Yeah! Come apart. So we have majority of the people actually read the book, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tom Lucier,
Tom,
you read the book.
first time last week.
I tore through this thing because, again, I thought the date that this was happening was much sooner. So I ripped through this and tried to be very conscious of the artwork. I think part of that, I sound like I'm going through puberty right now. Fast forward, I lost my voice screaming at the end of this book. I was pissed off. I got to the end and went, spoiler alert?
Sure, spoiler.
Who hasn't read this?
Yeah.
Because the bad guy wins?
yeah, for
It's
sure.
the best ending ever.
That's BS. And I'm going, of the comics I've read, I mean, it really ticked me off. There's no question. So this is why I can't wait to hear. Go ahead, spoil what this end of this movie is in the next segment. But yeah,
bad guy still wins.
Wait, whoa,
But he wins better.
Whoa.
He's wearing a hat.
We're not talking about that
Really
yet
cool,
because there's a
man.
lot of spoilers that are going to be coming out in the next episode because we have some on the supercomputer. We have some answers here and some things that the people at home might not know about the movie. But
I don't like girls.
But beyond that,
it was
too.
spoiled. I think the science you're talking about was a bit spoiled for me because in a JLA comic where they went back in time and they talked about the infinity symbol and half of an infinity symbol and going through space, and I was like, synchronicity and what? When I read this book, so I don't know which one came first. I'm certain that Watchmen came first.
Yeah.
And reading, I was like, it didn't spoil it, but it didn't make me go, whoa, because I had read something close to that or borrowed ideas from that. The other thing was seeing like all these rip-offs, like The Incredibles.
has everything.
Oh my
flipped
god!
out.
Like this
Yeah.
book is anthemic. It's like it's so big. Seeing how many people have ripped. What did you do? That have ripped off this book.
Yes.
And I understood very quickly why you guys dig this thing so much. It was like, okay, I see. This was.
well, what do you mean by you guys?
This whole crowd gets it.
No, what
does
do
that
you
mean?
mean by
all
you guys?
get it, right? Like,
Yeah.
That's the thing is that people who watch these other films, they don't question where it came from, and it clearly came from this. And I had a lot of respect, a ton of respect for the story. Reading that, going, oh man, this has been so borrowed. It's not even funny.
Yes.
Awesome. Let's talk about the movie when we come back from break and do a little spoiler alert.
Hello. Hi. I'm George. I'd like to talk to you about something that makes me extremely angry. In fact, you would even say it drives me to go berserk. When people think that just because they've read the book and that the film isn't just like the book, that this is somehow upsetting, that the little small changes between the Superman lore, which by the way is like 60 years worth, and the actual Superman movie, because they're not identical, that it's unacceptable and it doesn't count. We have to basically know that these are different genres, and anything can work. I mean, not everybody loves comic books. Some people, I don't know, just enjoy a good story. Thank you very, very much.